So with that, I will get started. Hello everyone and welcome to our virtual visit of UC Berkeley on this beautiful Monday, December 14th, which is actually the very first day of our finals week this semester. So we are so excited to be here with you instead of doing finals. We'll do a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. So hi, my name is Danielle. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm originally from Windsor, California, and I am a senior here at UC Berkeley, and I study sociology. I'll be leading you through this tour today and I won't be leading you through the tour, but I will be introducing the tour to you, and then I will wrap it up with a Q&A with our two amazing tour guides. So this tour is going to be a 45-minute presentation, and while our tour guides are leading you, you can type any questions that you have in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Please go ahead and do that whenever a question occurs to you. We not only have two amazing campus ambassadors guiding the tour, but we also have a bunch of ambassadors on the back end typing answers for you. You'll also see polls pop up at different points during the visit. This tour will be recorded and a different version is going to be available on our website. And at the end of the visit, we will go over all the different ways that you can watch previous visits or upcoming visits in the future. This is going to be a campus overview, and what that means is that this is going to be from the student perspective. So there's not going to be any admissions or financial aid information. Those kind of hard facts and numbers are all going to come in an admissions presentation or through direct contact with the financial aid office. Those are separate departments from us, so head over there if you are more interested in those subjects. And like I said, we are going to end with a Q&A segment. We will do our very best to answer all of the questions that you guys put in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, either typed or answering them live. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our amazing tour guides.
Hi guys, my name is Carson. I use the she, her, hers pronoun series, and I am originally from San Diego, California, which is where I'm coming to you guys from now. I am a sophomore studying nutritional sciences, and besides being a campus ambassador, I'm also on the Cal Women's Club water polo team. So if you have any questions about that, please drop it in the Q&A box below.
Hi y'all, my name is Ryan. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm originally from Culver City, California. I am a junior this year and I'm studying neurobiology, and I actually just had a test in that this morning, and I'm doing English and chemistry minors. Here on campus, I'm involved in residential life, student health internships, and club sports, just like Carson. So first thing I want to do is welcome you to our virtual UC Berkeley tour. We really appreciate you all being here with us today. And I just want to kind of introduce us to you and our life and our vibe, you know. So we are UC Berkeley, but you might hear us being referred to as some other things, maybe Cal or like Berkeley or University of California. And that's because we were the first UC. And so we can go by like UC or Cal, stuff like that. But when other UCs started being created, then we became UC Berkeley. Just some of the things on the slide here, you see this aerial view of our campus that is absolutely a delightful GIF in the top left corner. And then down in the bottom left corner, you have our 150 years of women at Berkeley. This year in 2020, we're celebrating our 150th anniversary of women being admitted to Cal. As a woman in the STEM field, I feel so accomplished about this, and it makes me feel really good that this is something that Berkeley's been doing for a really long time. And I make it a goal in my daily life to advocate for women, especially in my own field. You have our beautiful campanile with some really pretty ginkgo trees in the middle. The campanile is our clock and bell tower, and it's kind of the beautiful centerpiece of our campus. So if you're looking for a UC Berkeley postcard, you'll probably find one with the campanile. And then up in the right corner, you have our glade with student life, kind of giving you a vibe of what being on campus in a regular semester would look like. So let's get started.
So to start off, we can go through a really quick agenda of just what we're going to talk about today. So first, we're going to give you guys an overview of Berkeley, kind of the history and the culture. Then we'll go into academics, and we'll talk about housing and dining and health and safety. And then after that, we'll go through student resources, student life, athletics. We'll talk about libraries and research. We are a research institution, so research is really important to us, and remote learning in this new environment as well.
All right, so let's start with some UC Berkeley history. We were founded in 1868, so a little over 150 years ago. Like I said earlier, we go by Berkeley, Cal, University of California. Call us whatever you want, as long as it's got Golden Bears or Cal or Berkeley in it, we're all about that. And we are the first UC campus, and our mascot is the California Golden Bear. Fun fact, the California golden bear is not a real bear that exists in the world. And that's a little bit disappointing, but that's okay. We are a magical mythical bear. Our particular mascot is Oski, who you see in this picture here in his fancy yellow cardigan that we love so much. And our campus size, we have about 31,000 undergraduate students and 11,000 graduate students. We talked about some of our historical landmarks with the Campanile in the middle with this really, really awesome drone GIF that's on the slideshow. We also have Sather Gate, which is down in the bottom right corner. You may have noticed it in some movies. It was in The Graduate, Ant-Man and the Wasp. The Monsters University gate was also modeled after our gate. Yeah, and we just have our little bits and pieces of our beautiful campus right here for you.
Thank you, Ryan. Yes, I love every time I watch like Monsters University, I see the gate and I watch it with anyone that I know, and I'm like, that's their gate. I just think it's really cool. And next, we're going to talk about campus culture. So here at Berkeley, we are change makers. So first is free speech. So if you guys have heard of the free speech movement, it was a movement here on campus back in the 60s where students were fighting for the right to speak about their beliefs and their values on campus. And that students were successful, and that has carried on through our culture today, where students really enjoy talking about what they think, what they believe, whether that's political, just in general, things like that. We also really focus on leadership and challenging the status quo. There's also a lot of entrepreneurship. So a lot of Berkeley students will kind of try and make some startups. There's organizations on campus to help students start their own businesses. And my apartment back in Berkeley, actually, the student who lived there before us started his own like internet company. So, and he left all of his things there. So we have really great internet now. And also really focused on research and innovation. And then another part of our campus culture is community. So we really focus on community, things like compassion, passion, and social justice, spirit and pride, and diversity and excellence, and of course, public service as well. So in the pictures here in the top right-hand corner, you can see a picture from the free speech movement back in the 60s. And then below that, you can see our rally committee in front of Sather Gate. So it's the same spot, just years later, showing the spirit on campus. And then you can see on the left, the ASUC people talking to other students. And then below that, a really great picture there. There's those shirts say Fiat Love. And our motto on campus is Fiat Lux. So it's a little play on words for unity, which I think is really cool as well.
Just some illustrations here so you can see kind of in practice all the things that Carson was talking about here. In the top left corner, you have student protests on campus, which is something that happens a lot. We are a large campus, and so if that's something that you're not interested in, it is easily avoidable. But personally, I really love how active students are in making our concerns voiced, and I really appreciate that. And I think that the social justice leaning on our campus is really important to me, and I appreciate it very much. And then just a really awesome picture parallel is the photo below it, which is taken in the exact same spot on one of our game day rallies. And so before we have football games, we have awesome rallies right there in front of Sproul Hall, which is the building behind it. And I love the positionality of those two photos, that they're in the same spot. And it really just illustrates that UC Berkeley has really great like self-advocacy and social justice, and also really great spirit and fun. And I think it's a really, really great illustration of our campus culture as a whole. Again, you can see our rally committee in the top right corner. We really can't do anything without having school pride, so we have to throw that in here. And again, we are a very innovative school. And personally, as a STEM major, that is something that I really love. We have robotics teams. We have a super cool steel bridge team that I have some friends on who are engineers. There's just always cool things to do here.
Next, we're going to talk about what's going on at Berkeley now. So our global impact. So we're really still focusing obviously on education. So really putting emphasis on access and scalability. So lots of developments of student tech programs or remote youth programs to help youth still stay connected and receive a really great education. We're also focusing on COVID research. So a lot of the research labs on campus have been converted to working on COVID research and working on trial testing, biological, cultural, and economic impacts. So there's really cool things going on there. I know one of our other ambassadors was talking about our School of Optometry, which is one of our graduate schools, talking about like how COVID can be spread potentially like through the eyes and how that can be prevented and its effects there, which I learned about recently, which I thought was really interesting. and also really focus on advocacy and social justice. So, focusing on human rights and anti racism, resilience, preventing trauma and burnout. So, those are also really important at Berkeley for all students, and also has a really strong emphasis right now as well.
So let's start talking about academics because you are on a college tour. So let's talk about college. Here at UC Berkeley, we have 5 different undergraduate colleges. We have the College of Letters and Science, which is our largest college, and it has over 200 majors in it. We have the Rausser College of Natural Resources. We have the College of Environmental Design, our College of Chemistry, and our College of Engineering. So with these colleges, when you apply to UC Berkeley, you apply to a specific college directly. And with the College of Letters and Science, it's very easy to transfer out of that and into other colleges. And it's very easy to, sorry, I misspoke. It's very easy to transfer into the College of Letters and Science because when you start at the College of Letters and Science, you don't have a declared major until around 2 years in. Whereas with the College of Chemistry, College of Engineering, and in College of Environmental Design, you do go in with a declared major your freshman year. And so it is a little bit more challenging to switch into those colleges. So try and make sure you're getting a feel of which college you want to be in when you apply, but know that that decision doesn't have to be set in stone, and there are ways to switch in and out of different colleges. And you can take classes and majors in different colleges. Personally, I'm in the College of Letters and Science with my major molecular and cell biology, but I'm doing a chemistry minor in the College of Chemistry.
So, first, we're going to talk about the College of Letters and Science. So, that is our largest college on campus and it holds about 3/4 of the undergraduate population. It has 5 divisions: arts and humanities, biological sciences, mathematical and physical sciences, social sciences, and undergraduate studies, and has 80 plus majors. So, the vast majority of students are in the College of Letters and Science. It just has such a wide variety of classes. And 17 of our 25 Nobel Prizes have come from this college, which I think is really, really awesome. And kind of similar to Ryan, I'm originally from the College of Natural Resources for Nutritional Sciences, but I'm working on declaring my major in psychology in the College of Letters and Science. But that's not official yet, but I'm working on it currently.
Awesome. I love to hear about your major in psychology. I feel like it's really close to mine. And also congrats for declaring another major soon, hopefully. That's super exciting. So the next one I want to talk about is our Rausser College of Natural Resources. This is our college that has an environmental focus on a lot of their studying. And so you have biological sciences, nutrition and toxicology, which Carson is studying, I think, ecosystems and management, interdisciplinary studies, social sciences, and economics and policy. And so this college isn't like exclusively limited to just environmental studies, but it's doing things with an environmental focus along with it. Our focus is sustainability and social justice, see the bigger picture, make a better world. And you can see students getting involved. The photo in the top left is actually on campus. That's our Strawberry Creek, which is used in a lot of experiments. It's a living laboratory, and even classes have students go to the creek and fish bioindicators out of it to see how healthy the creek is. When I took that class, it was unfortunately online, but this is something that you get to do literally just in class, which is super fun.
Next, we're going to talk about the College of Environmental Design. So it's our smallest college with only about 650 students, and it has 4 majors. So architecture, landscape architecture, urban studies, and sustainable environmental design. And in the pictures here, you can see Worcester Hall, which is the home of the College of Environmental Design. And I think a really cool thing about this college is that all the students have their own workspace. So they have their own place where they can work on projects that's just theirs. They don't have to like worry about transporting it or anything, which I think is really awesome. Also, the library in Worcester College is one of the few libraries you can eat food in, which I think is also very cool. And their kind of motto is to craft ecologically sustainable, resilient, prosperous, and fair, healthy, and beautifully built environments, which I think is just really, really amazing. And it's a really cool college with a lot of resources as well.
Next, we have our College of Chemistry, which is my favorite college. I'm doing a minor in chemistry, and it's definitely one of the smaller colleges. College of Chemistry and College of Environmental Design kind of fluctuate which one is the smallest. This one has about 1,000 students in it. There are 3 majors: chemistry, chemical engineering, and chemical biology, and a chemistry minor. And it is I love it so much because it is the #1 ranked globally college of chemistry in the nation, and just brilliant things happen there. And I always meet brilliant people, and I love the history, and I think it's so cool. We've discovered 16 elements here at Berkeley, including but not limited to berkelium, californium, lawrencium, americium, plutonium, seaborgium, and a bunch of others. 16 to be precise. Anyone know how many elements Stanford has discovered? The answer is 0. Yay, go Bears. Stanford is our rival school. We also discovered Lewis dot structure when the dean of chemistry was Mr. Lewis, who invented it to teach his students. Another fun story I like to tell about the College of Chemistry is that there's one guy named Glenn T. Seaborg. He was a professor here, and then he was a dean of the College of Chemistry. And apparently, when he was working on discovering elements, he discovered seaborgium. It's named after him. Apparently, he made a room in the college so radioactive that it's currently sealed off and nobody can go in it. I worked for the College of Chemistry this summer. They told me that's not true, but I like to believe that it's still true. And Glenn T. Seaborg, who discovered a bunch of elements, when he died, he said that the thing that he was most accomplished, that he loved so much about his life, was that his last name is an anagram of Go Bears. Yay, Go Bears.
I love that. I actually hadn't heard that story about that room until just now. Learn new things every single day. Next, we're going to talk about the College of Engineering. So it has about 3,800 students and 11 majors. So also a little bit of note about the majors in the College of Engineering is all of the majors are ranked top 9 globally. So every engineering program we have is so amazing. And as Ryan mentioned earlier, we highly recommend you apply directly to the College of Engineering as it is harder to transfer into. They also have humanities and social sciences breadth classes along with those technical engineering classes to give kind of a little bit more of a holistic education. And we also have a separate engineering virtual visit. So if you're really interested in engineering, I highly recommend you guys go check that out. It's really great. It's really cool. They have so much information and statistics, and it's really awesome. And the kind of motto of this college is to transform the lives of our students by preparing them to become successful leaders and innovators for positive change. And in the pictures here, you can see the Hearst Mining Building, which is a really gorgeous building. I think it's just so pretty to look at. The inside of it is really beautiful. We also have the MET class of 2022. So MET is the Management, Entrepreneurship, and Technology program. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but it's a dual degree between the College of Engineering and the Haas School of Business, which is one of our graduate schools, which is a really cool opportunity. If you're interested in doing that, definitely apply. And if you have any questions, you can drop it in the Q&A box below as well.
Awesome. And now that we are through our undergraduate colleges, I want to talk just briefly about our graduate schools. We have 9 graduate schools here at Cal, and they are listed here. One that I really in particular want to note is our Haas School of Business, which is pictured on the left. They are absolutely gorgeous buildings. That archway is so lovely. But so our Haas School of Business, which is a graduate school, does have an undergraduate program. And if you want to do this, you would apply to the College of Letters and Science. And then after 2 years, you apply to the Haas School of Business undergraduate program. And then if you get in, then you can do your business major. And if not, a lot of people go to econ and other related fields. So it's a great opportunity there to do the undergraduate major that's in the graduate school. I also want to note that these are just our specific graduate schools, and a lot of programs also have graduate programs. And so like a lot of the colleges have their own graduate programs. And so these are not limited. This is not all the graduate programs that exist, but these are our specific graduate schools. One building that I want to note that's just beautiful and historic, and I think it's important, is South Hall, which is shown in the bottom right corner of this slide. South Hall was built in 1873. It's our oldest building, and it's just really beautiful. And sometimes on the weekends, there's like a group of people who go out and like they paint South Hall, and it's so cute seeing people just out there sitting painting South Hall because it is a really beautiful building.
Next, we're going to talk about structure and class sizes. So Berkeley, we are a larger university, as mentioned earlier. So the way the classes are set up, we have lecture and discussion sections. So usually if you have those kind of early lower division classes that a bunch of majors have to take, you might have some larger lectures. But that's okay, don't worry, because we also have a discussion section. So the way it would work is you go to lecture and your professor would give a lecture, and then you'd go to discussion section, which is a smaller group of students, usually around like 30 to 40-ish people, and that's led by a graduate student instructor or a GSI. And those you'll kind of review lecture, you'll do worksheets, maybe quizzes, presentations. One of my discussion sections, we would have debates about class topics, which I thought was really fun. And you can also go to office hours as well. So your professor holds office hours and your GSI holds office hours. So there's plenty of ways you can ask questions. You can ask questions in lecture, your discussion section, or either office hour as well, which definitely go to those two because I know a lot of students don't utilize office hours. And it's really great. You can go, even if you don't have a question, you can just go and like chat with your professor because they're usually doing really cool things and they're really cool people. So you can just get to know them, which I think is really fun. And despite that we do have some of those larger lectures, don't worry, our class sizes aren't too big. We have an 18-to-1 student to faculty ratio, and 85% of our classes are actually fewer than 50 students. So as you go through, your classes should get a little bit smaller as well. And we have a lot of hands-on labs and studios as well. So a lot of those like math or science classes, sorry, will have more hands-on things where you can do a whole bunch of labs and do really cool things. I know one of my classes, I wasn't able to do it in person because it was online, but normally they go and they do a heart for a heart lab. So they have a frog heart and you can test different solutions to like see what speeds up heartbeat and slows down heartbeat, which I think is just really, really cool. And I've never like heard of doing that before. And we also have lots of resources as well to support students in these classes. So we have the Student Learning Center, which gives free tutoring for students. So you can go, they'll organize reviews before your midterms or exams. They have drop-in services. And they have services for STEM students and humanities students. So you can go and have them help you with your physics homework, or they can go and review, like get an edit on your essay and things like that. And we also have individual advising as well. So you can go to your advisors for help. And we also have peer advisors too. So you can get other student perspectives on kind of planning and things like that.
So we do want to touch on remote learning because obviously this semester and the end of last semester are different from normal years. So this fall semester, we were fully remote. We do have hybridization goals for next semester, certainly in line with CDC guidelines and with the recent news of the vaccine. We definitely have our fingers crossed, looking up. Oh, very excited, hopefully. The academic experience right now is definitely a little bit different, but all students get a free Zoom Pro account from UC Berkeley, so you can have those meetings longer than 40 minutes. And we do have lots of different combinations of synchronous and asynchronous learning. And so students who are in a time zone that works can go to class synchronously on Zoom, and people who maybe don't want to go to class when it happens or are in a different time zone, and so it might be in the middle of the night, we also have asynchronous learning available. And we also have virtual resources. Of course, we went online with those as well. We have virtual drop-in tutoring. We have instructional resilience, which is a whole system that's created, especially we were kind of looking at this for a little while with a lot of like the fire season, having classes being shut down for a couple of days. We really need ways to be able to teach online. And so instructional resilience is a thing that they're having a lot of teachers do. We have a whole semester in the cloud. And so even when students aren't able to be on campus or do synchronous learning for any reason, we have lots of ways to do that. And before we move on, I just want to remind you all that we do have the Q&A feature. We totally want to answer your questions. We want to know what you're thinking, and we want to help you. We want to help you love Berkeley because we love Berkeley. So please ask us questions.
Yeah, I totally agree. Definitely use the Q&A function. I know I personally can talk about Berkeley for like hours and hours. So we have lots of campus ambassadors who want to answer your questions. So please ask your questions in there. And next, we're going to talk about housing and dining. So first, we're going to talk about kind of the typical housing details. And also a poll should have popped up kind of asking where you guys are joining us from. So if you can fill that out for us, we would really appreciate it, just so we kind of know where you guys are coming from. And so for typical housing, we have residential halls and suites. So there's units 1, 2, and 3. Those are typical kind of dorms. They're high rises. You have a floor of rooms and like a shared bathroom. Blackwell is really similar to that. It's also our newest dorm hall. So people refer to it as like a 5-star hotel. It's really nice and pretty inside. But we also have on the north side of campus, there's Foothill and Stern. So Stern has both kind of the dorm style and some suites, and then Foothill is all suites. So the way suites work is it's a few rooms and then they're connected to like a bathroom and like a common area, kind of like a living room kind of feel. And so I lived in Foothill my freshman year and I really liked it. It was really nice just to have a bathroom, like a little couch and chairs to hang out in. But it's definitely like your preference. And for housing, freshmen typically do get priority. So the way we don't say it's guaranteed, and that's just because on the housing application, what you want to do. So after you're accepted to Berkeley, you open up the housing application, and then you can click the different options that you want. So maybe you want like unit one, double, or Blackwell, triple, things like that. Or Blackwell doesn't have triples; they have singles and doubles. Blackwell double, sorry. And for the last option, you want to make sure that you put any location, any room size, and that just makes sure that you'll get housing. And there's lots of resources for students living in the dorms as well. So we have residential assistants or RAs, and those are students, sophomores through seniors that have lived in the dorms and they also live in the dorms with you, like usually on your floor or like maybe just the floor below. And they'll have be able to help you with anything you need, whether it's something in the dorms or maybe you just want to talk to somebody with anything, they're there for you. We also have theme programs. So if you want to live with people who have similar interests as you, that's available too. We have a Women in STEM theme program. There's a Unity program. There's a theme program for sustainability. There's a theme program for African American theme program, a Native American theme program, a bunch of things like that. And then also for the dorms, we have common areas as well. So you can go, there's like study rooms and you can kind of hang out. Like I know in my dorm common area, we had like a pool table and a ping pong table where students could hang out with on the weekends or in between study breaks and things like that. And we also, the meal plan is included. So we have multiple dining halls. So there's Crossroads, which is closest to units 1 and 2, Cafe 3 by unit 3 in Blackwell. There's the Foothill Dining Hall, which is right next to Foothill and Stern, and then Clark Kerr, which Dining Hall, which is next to the Clark Kerr campus, which is just a couple minutes walk away from campus, and that's another one of the dorm options as well. And for housing during COVID-19, it's a little bit different. So students still can live on campus, but all of the rooms are now single rooms, and face masks are required when you're walking around the hallways. And there's also social pods, so students can still get to meet people, make friends with kind of their social pods that they can hang out with as well.
Yeah, thank you. A little more on continued start. All right, good, we got it. Okay, so housing and dining. We also have transfer and continuing students housing because the majority of the time, it's mostly freshmen that live in residence halls, but there are options available that are UC Berkeley residence hall specific or just other things for students to live in housing, of course, past their freshman year. And so we have residence halls that are specific for continuing students. You can see these both on the right side of the slide. That's housing for continuing students. We also have International House, which is shown in the top left corner over there. And International House is generally for international students, but it's also meant for people to mix with international students and students from the US, so anyone can live there. And you can also live in off-campus apartments, affiliated properties, Greek housing, UC Berkeley co-ops, which are student cooperative housing, where students have like a community role in the house and the rent is a little bit cheaper. And even if you're not living on campus, you can still have a meal plan. And so maybe that'll take the burden off you cooking a little bit. And if you have more questions about this, totally feel free to visit the Cal Housing website at housing.berkeley.edu.
Next, we're going to talk about health and safety. So first, I'll talk about the University Health Services. So we have a lot of resources for student health on campus. The main one is the Tang Center, which you can see in the bottom right-hand corner there. And inside the Tang Center, they have pretty much everything you would really need. They've got urgent care, primary care, physical therapy, they have psychological counseling. They have a pharmacy in there, so lots of resources for that. There's also the Student Health Insurance Plan, which is also kind of SHIP, is its little acronym there. And students are required to have health insurance. So students are automatically enrolled into the Student Health Insurance Plan. But if you have your own insurance you want to use, don't worry about it. All you go online, fill out a waiver and just say like, provide your insurance information and the school makes sure it's equivalent. And then they just waive the Student Health Insurance Plan. So you can choose whichever one you'd like to use. We also have COVID testing and tracing available in multiple locations on campus so students can go and regularly get tested. And there's a lot of like webinars for students on trying to like have any health questions and things like that. We also have psychological counseling for students. So students, I think, can get 10 free short-term psychological counseling sessions, which I think is really great. So you don't have to worry about like how much is it going to cost or anything. You can just go in. We also have Path to Care, which is a really great program. It's to support survivors of sexual violence and sexual harassment to try and provide a really safe community for students as well. We have the Optometry Eye Center. So Ryan mentioned earlier, we have the School of Optometry. So convenient that we have a graduate school for optometry just on campus for the Optometry Eye Center. So you can go get your eyes checked, get new glasses, and it's really inexpensive as well because it is on campus. And we also have stress relief programs. So these, I love them so much. We have Pause for Mental Health, which is a club where they have dogs and they kind of walk around campus and you can just go up and pet the dogs. And they'll come to residence hall, they'll be outside of lecture halls during finals, and they're so cute. Some of them have their own Instagrams, which I follow, and really amazing. And we also have Llama-Palooza. So Llama-Palooza, my mind was blown my freshman year when I saw Llama-Palooza. Basically, on Memorial Glade, which is the big grassy area during finals week, they'll bring llamas one day that you can pet and take pictures with and like feed carrots. And when I went, I was like, oh, there's probably maybe like a couple llamas and like a ton of people will be kind of just like looking. And it's not. There's like 25 llamas, and you can go, you can like pick your favorite ones and take pictures, and it's just so fun. Which I didn't know about that until like the day before it happened. So I like to emphasize that because I think it's just so cool.
Yes, we love llamas here at UC Berkeley. And I also want to talk a little bit more about health and safety because we do have a bunch of campus safety services here at UC Berkeley. UC Berkeley has its own police department. It's the UCPD, which is separate from the City of Berkeley Police Department. We also have blue light safety poles, which are all over campus. And when you push the button, it calls UCPD and they'll be with you in under a minute. We also have a system called Warn Me, which is a messaging system that you sign up for, and you can either get emails or like text messages that just send out messages to make sure the community is safe and you're keeping yourself safe. Some of the things we receive is like, oh yeah, like road closure at so-and-so area, like maybe don't go over there. And then they let you know when the road closure is over. So that is all good. It's a great system. If any parents are on here, parents can also be on this system. And so you can get safety updates about your child's university and the city around them. So that can be really reassuring for parents. My parents really appreciate it. Residence halls also have a 3-point security system. You need your ID key card to tap into the building. You need your ID key card again to get into the elevator or the stairs. And you have your own room key for your room. And so overall, very secure. And residence halls after 10 p.m. also have security monitors. We also have some fantastic night services. These are my favorite thing in the world. Okay, we have the night safety shuttle, which is a shuttle that runs in a loop around campus starting from 7:30 p.m. and goes until 3 a.m. And so if you're like studying in the library super late and you want to get home and you live in an apartment off campus, you just hop on the night safety shuttle and it takes you there. It's a really, really convenient loop. It also goes to the BART station. So if you're arriving back in Berkeley at night and it goes to all the residence halls and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm all the way down at the BART station, gotta go back up to my residence hall, just hop on the night safety shuttle. It is my favorite mode of transportation of all time. I will never not love it. We also have a great system called Bear Walk, which is where student officers from UCPD they just come and walk you home. You call, they show up, they walk you home, and they're also trained conversationalists. So you might make a friend and have a really nice conversation while you're walking home and making sure you're getting home safe. We love safety at UC Berkeley.
Yes, I totally echo the night safety shuttle. I have taken the night safety shuttle and it's just so convenient. Like I'll be across campus, just I don't want to like walk all the way back. And it's just really a really convenient way to kind of get around. And next, we're going to talk about student resources, so student development. So we have so many student resources on campus because we want all students to be able to have a community and be supported in any way they need. So I'm just going to go through a couple of them really quickly, but we have so many I could go on for like hours and hours. So first, we have resources for identity and community. So the Centers for Educational Justice and Community Engagement. We have the Associate Students of the University of California, which is kind of like our student government. We have the Transfer Student Center and the Undocumented Student Center. We also have resources for support and equity. So the Disabled Students Program, the Basic Needs Center, and like I said, so many more. And most of these resources are located in the Cesar Chavez Student Resource Center, pictured in the top right-hand corner there. So there's resources, like I said before, just so that all students can feel supported and get any help that they need with anything.
And we also have a number of things beyond academics. Student life is absolutely poppin' here at Berkeley. We have over 1,000 registered student organizations. And so one of the things we're really proud of is like, if you want to find a group of people who you really identify with and have a similar interest, there's probably a student organization for that. And if there isn't, you can totally start your own. There are a lot of volunteering opportunities here at Cal. We have campus employment. You can use the Career Center. You could have the most fantastic job on campus. You could be a campus ambassador, which is us. But there are also a number of other student jobs. You can have internships, you can work in libraries, dining halls. I'm also an RA, so I work in residence halls. So tons of opportunities here on campus. You can get internships in San Francisco. Berkeley is a really awesome location because it's so accessible to all of the cool things in the Bay. You're just right in the middle of everything. There are also study abroad opportunities. Of course, in the pandemic, a lot of people had to get sent home from those recently, but UC Berkeley has a ton of study abroad opportunities, and they're just super cool. I almost studied abroad, COVID notwithstanding, but that's okay. I'm trying to do it again next summer. We shall see how that goes. And like I said earlier, UC Berkeley is just in the middle of the Bay, and that's such an incredible feature of it. We are like a dense college campus, super high level academia. And so you have everything right by you. The city of Berkeley is fantastic. And you're also right next to like the Berkeley Hills, the Oakland Hills. And so you have nature literally in your backyard. And so it's just a great combination of everything up here in the Bay.
And next, we're going to talk about remote resources. So all of these things have transitioned online. So we have a lot of social media networks where you can join and get any events going on campus and kind of find out information about those. Student groups and clubs have also transitioned online. So we have a lot of different student clubs, as Ryan mentioned. So those have all kind of transitioned in a little their own way. So some of my clubs will have like social hours and go and just like meet new people and be able to talk about like what we want to do when things go in person and finding ways to do things online as well. I know another one of my clubs, we go and for my club water polo team, we'll go on and onto Zoom, have a meeting, kind of do a social, get to meet people, catch up, and then we'll do an online workout together. And there's also a lot of department webinars, so professional and personal development opportunities and guest lectures, which I think is really awesome because the departments, when things were in person, still had guest lectures, but sometimes, like, I know for me, I had a class during it, or I couldn't quite make it in time. And now that everything's online, I can just click to the Zoom link and be able to watch so many awesome guest speakers. And we also have Golden Bear orientation. So that's usually the week before classes start for freshmen, where you go meet people that live near you and be able to make friends. You do a whole bunch of really cool events. Like, I know my freshman year, there was like a magician and we went to the Bay and things, and that's also been transitioned online. So there's still events going on for students as well, and they can get advising, preparation, and networking with other students too.
Next, we'll talk a little bit about athletics. We have 3 different levels of competition here at Cal, as do most universities. So we're a Division I school in terms of our athletics. And so people who come here for sports to play for Cal and all of our glory play Division I athletics. You have our football team in the top left corner, our swim team in the bottom left corner, cycling and basketball. We also have club sports, which you're still playing for Cal. It's still a Cal team against other schools, but it isn't the Division I, and it's kind of like a mix between competitive and recreational sports. And we also have intramural recreational sports, and so this is just Cal students playing against other Cal students for fun. You can make your own team with your friends, go play flag football on a Sunday. So all for fun, and there are a bunch of different levels of sports engagement. So whatever you're looking for at Cal in terms of sports, you can totally have that. Some of our great landmarks. We have California Memorial Stadium, which is our big football stadium that you can see in that football photo. It is such a fun place to go to football games. And UC Berkeley is the only Pac-12 school with our student section on the 50-yard line. So in regular English, because I don't understand football speak sometimes, it's right in the middle and we have the best seats in the house. So being in the student section at Cal games are just fantastic. We have our Simpson High Performance Center, which is our gym inside the California Memorial Stadium, and some like really hotshot like Oakland Raiders players have trained in our Simpson High Performance Center, so we're looking really good there. They also have the Athletic Study Center, as well as a separate like dining hall for student athletes. We make sure to give our student athletes plenty of resources here. We also have Haas Pavilion, which is our basketball court that you can see here, and the recreational sports facility. So that's just a gym that all students can access for free while they're here. So you don't have to be into sports in order to work out. You can just work out at our RSF, recreational sports facility. They have group exercise classes. 10 out of 10 would recommend those. Cardio dance is the best one. Yoga, close second. Zumba, cycling, spin, anything you could possibly dream of is there. UC Berkeley has 207 Olympic medals from people who were either students or alum of UC Berkeley. And for the Olympics that were supposed to be in 2020, and I'm not sure when they are happening now, the USA swim coaches were actually UC Berkeley swim coaches. We are just that good.
Thanks, Ryan. Our athletics never fails to impress me every time. I think like the swim coaches being the USA Olympic coaches is just so amazing. I can't wait to watch just so I can brag people about how our coach is the Olympic coach. And next we're going to talk about libraries and research. So we have 24 official libraries on campus. So it's one of my personal goals to be able to study in all of the libraries. I'm not even close to getting there yet, but one day, hopefully by graduation, I'll be able to do it. And within those libraries, we have over 13 million volumes of books and extensive online resources. So if you're working on a project, if you have to do research for anything, there's so many resources at all the different libraries, and everything's moved online, so you can still request like digital books of those as well. So there's lots of resources for you. In the picture there, you can see Doe Library, which is, I think, really cool. Inside, it's kind of known as like the Harry Potter kind of study room, which I really like studying in. I think it's just really pretty and it's quiet and it's so gorgeous. And below that is actually Main Stacks Library. So it's our largest library and it's underground, which is really cool. And it's known for being like a really quiet like study space. And one of my roommates, that's his favorite place to study. And next we're gonna talk about research. So we are a research institution, so research is really important. There's research going on all over campus, and not just for STEM. Our history department actually does the most research on campus, which I learned from one of our other campus ambassadors a few months ago. And students can really get involved in research as well. So we have the undergraduate research apprentice program, which is basically a way so students can go online and look at all of the research going on campus and then apply to whatever research they want to be a part of. And I think that that's really amazing. That's the most common way for students to get involved in research. There's also departmental opportunities that you can do and some research specific to different colleges. And like a little pro tip, honestly, if you go to like your professor's office hours and you're really interested in their research and you get to know them, you can ask if you can be part of their lab. And they might say yes and they might say no, but like it's worth a shot, I think. And I know one of the kind of things I heard before coming to Berkeley was people saying like, oh, undergrads can't do research. It's really hard. And I have not found that really to be true. I know one of my my other roommates, he got into 2 research labs within his, so it's definitely accessible. It's mostly just like putting yourself out there and really just wanting to get to know people and work on the labs as well.
For sure.
And
Oh, can I steal this slide? I'm so sorry. Jennifer Doudna is my hero, y'all. I just want to say UC Berkeley has 2 Nobel Prize winners this year in 2020. Jennifer Doudna for Nobel Prize in Chemistry and Richard Genzel for Nobel Prize in Physics. And I certainly don't want to diminish the accomplishments of Reinhard Genzel, but I love Jennifer Doudna. She's a genomics professor here at UC Berkeley. She was responsible for developing the Integrative Genomics Institute fast COVID test. And so she literally developed a COVID test that just got FDA approved. And so that's the COVID test that everyone is using right now. Her team just like kicked it into the gear with COVID research. And she is so deserving of this Nobel Prize for CRISPR, which is this gene editing technique that came out recently. And it is absolutely game changing for the world of genetics. And she won this Nobel Prize as she was like also changing the world in COVID testing. And she's just my absolute hero. So sorry, turning it over.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I love Jennifer Doudna. Like the CRISPR research, I think is just so cool. And Reinhard Genzel, who found a super compact object in the middle of the galaxy and also won a Nobel Prize this year. Like we're so proud. I know that when that news came out, like all of my friends were just so excited for both of them for so many things. So yeah, that was really awesome. I love that.
And last, we have just some campus highlights to finish us off. You might laugh at the Berkeley squirrel, our unofficial UC Berkeley mascot. They're just all over on campus, and your relationship with the squirrel is however you want it to be. I know some people who like feed the squirrels and some people who run the other way. It's whatever you want. You have just the gorgeous, like, nature in the bottom of this slide here. You have our Strawberry Creek again with that beautiful orange sunset, our eucalyptus grove at the bottom of our campus, just absolutely beautiful. And again, the hills and this view, my goodness, UC Berkeley being on a hill, even though it's hard on the calves, the views and the sunsets are so worth it. I have never seen more beautiful sunsets in my entire life. So just aesthetically, we are a gorgeous and lovely and wonderful campus.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for leading us on that virtual visit today. We are going to move into the Q&A section of our visit now. So our first question is going to be for Carson, and this question was, do you find it difficult balancing school and sports? What tips would you recommend?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I play club sports. So of the three levels, it's kind of the middle one, which I find it's not too hard to manage really. I know like during our off season, we'll practice 2 nights a week, and then during season, we'll practice 3 nights a week. And it's really just kind of time management. That's kind of the biggest tip. Like, don't wait to do your homework until like 11 p.m. It'll make it a little bit harder when you go to practice and things. Um, but I've found it pretty not too difficult to manage really. Um, but I think that that's kind of true for most people. Also, Berkeley students are all really amazing. So I've like literally gone to games and things with homework, and I was really struggling with physics. I'm not very good at physics. And one of the other girls on the team is a physics major. And so she was able to help me in between games, and I got tutoring, which is just kind of an unknown plus as well. And then for other sports like intramural sports, that's pretty easy to manage. It's usually once a week. I was on IM dodgeball team with some of my friends. So on Wednesday nights, we just take a study break, go play dodgeball, maybe grab some food, and then come back. And then for Division 1 athletics, those are a little bit of a larger time commitment. I think it goes back to the time management, and there's also a lot of resources for athletes as well. Within the Memorial Stadium, they have their own like study center, so they can get access to resources like that as well. So I think it's definitely manageable. It's just kind of using time managing and using Google Calendar. I love Google Calendar. I live on Google Calendar. So that's probably my biggest tip just for Berkeley in general.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Our next question is going to go to Ryann. We got a question about the LGBTQ community at UC Berkeley. So can you talk about if Berkeley is welcoming to LGBTQ plus community members and what resources or support might be available for the community or for individuals seeking support?
That is a fantastic question, and I'm really glad you asked because that is really important, and it's like kind of a cornerstone to UC Berkeley's identity. Our really true identity is about openness and progressiveness and freedom of speech and freedom of expression and being your true self because we value people's individuality. Um, So here at UC Berkeley, we do have a strong LGBTQ community support system. One of the things that I love to talk about is our theme program system, which is for residence halls. One of the things we have here is we have our Unity theme program, which is the LGBTQ plus student theme program, where you can live with other students who identify similarly as you, and it's a really, really great support community. We also have the Gender and Equity Center, which is an entire resource center dedicated to helping students of marginalized genders or sexuality. It helps students find community. There are also academic services like housing, health services, all of these things. Like I said, we are absolutely pro identity, whatever that identity is, because we value individuals here. And lastly, just a little fun snippet. So I mentioned the Unity theme program during not COVID times. Every year in the spring, they do a drag show. And so UC Berkeley literally has a university endorsed drag show. So I don't know if there's any better way to support the LGBTQ community than to really highlight ways that it's beautiful. And I think that that's something we do here.
Thank you so much for your answer, Ryan. Yeah, absolutely. And that sounds like an amazing event. Hopefully, I can attend when we're back in person. So, our next question is going to be for Carson. And this question was, what type of study abroad or field research opportunities are there at UC Berkeley?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I haven't studied abroad yet, but I have plans to try and study abroad next spring. So hopefully if study abroad resumes and things like that. So there, the study abroad website, I think it's studyabroad.berkeley.edu, is honestly just really fun. They have all of the study abroad opportunities, and you can go, you can pick like if you have a country you want to go to, if there's a certain program you want to go through, if you want to study a certain thing, if there's a certain time you want to go, you can put in all your choices and it'll give you all of the options. And there's a whole bunch. So there's some like in Italy that I want to go to Italy and study like things about food. You can go to get some of your breath courses done. One of my roommates, I know she was talking about like I was talking about study abroad and she was like, oh, I don't think I'll really ever do it. Like I don't really know if there's anything I would like. And I showed her this website and she found a research program in Hong Kong that she is obsessed with now, and I think she's going to apply to. And there's so many you can do internships abroad. There's just so many different ways to do it. There's also UC like EAP, so there's programs that are spread across all of the UCs you have access to. There's Berkeley specific ones. We also have a study abroad office, so you can go and get advising from a study abroad officer of like fitting it into your schedule, which one you want to do. Um, all of those things. So there's absolutely a lot of study abroad resources. If it's something you want to do, definitely do it. Um, but yeah, there's so many for literally anything, any field of research you can definitely do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then our second to last question is going to be for Ryan. And this question comes from Ben, who asked, is the School of Letters and Science essentially the same thing as a liberal arts education?
That is a great question. And the fact that it's called the College of Letters and Science can definitely make that a little bit confusing. So, one of the things that is important to know about the College of Letters and Science is that you graduate with a Bachelor in the Arts instead of a Bachelor in Science, regardless of what the major is. So, everyone graduating from College of Letters and Science gets a BA. Now, the difference between a BA and a BS in the real world is probably very minimal. It's just the like technicality on your diploma. And so, there are definitely STEM fields and sciences and things that are not necessarily liberal arts inside the College of Letters and Science. My major is molecular and cell biology, which is definitely a STEM field. And you also have things like English, you have history, you have political science, you have economics. And so there's this huge range of things in the College of Letters and Science. And so even though it does have this technicality of being like the liberal arts college, graduating with a Bachelor of Arts, um, that is not like prescriptivist in any way for the College of Letters and Science. And because it's so big, it is super diverse in the different majors and different pathways that you can be taking. So calling it a school of liberal arts is a little bit like broad, and it's much more nuanced and specific than that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining that. Yeah, that is actually a really popular question. And I think that the name of the college doesn't really help at all in figuring that out. So thank you so much for explaining that so that all of our attendees kind of get some clarity on what our different colleges speak to. So the last question we'll be addressing today is going to be for both of you guys. And I am sure that you guys had a lot of college options, that you had a lot of things to consider when you were picking what college to attend. So I'm hoping that each of you can speak to what brought you to UC Berkeley, what your application process was like, why you eventually chose to come to UC Berkeley, and what you like about it that has kept you here. And we can go Carson and then Ryann.
Yeah, so when I was applying to colleges, I didn't really know what I wanted. So I applied to big public schools, I applied to small private schools, I applied in state, out of state, just a whole range of different colleges. And then when I got my acceptances, I went and visited a lot of them. And I kind of went on like a road trip on California, going to different schools. And I went to Berkeley for Cal Day, which is our like really big open house. You can get tours, sit on lectures, tons of events. It's super fun. Um, and I really loved Berkeley. I was just really happy, and I went and like talked to different clubs. And I talked to a bunch of people, and I really loved it. And then I kept visiting colleges. And I went home, and for those of you who don't know me, I really overthink things quite a lot, actually. So I finished all my college visits, and my family was like, "So where do you want to go?" And I was like, "I have no idea. I really don't know." And so I thought about it and kind of tried to decide for weeks and weeks, and the deadline was coming up, and I finally decided like I want to go to Berkeley. I really liked Berkeley, and I remember I went down to tell my parents, and they wouldn't give me any insight. They were like, "It's totally your decision. We don't want to sway you anyway." And I told them, I was like, I want to go to Cal. And I was expecting like, oh my gosh, yay, you picked. And they were just kind of straight faced, and they're like, we already knew that. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you were so much happier there than anywhere else. Like, I don't know why it took you weeks to figure out that's where you wanted to go. And they were absolutely right, because I was so happy, and I'm still so happy on campus. I take walks around like sunset just to look at the sunset and the Campanile. Um, and they laugh because I'll talk to my friends about Berkeley for hours and hours, as I've mentioned on this tour, I know already. So that's kind of my Berkeley story of I'm just really happy here, and it just really feels like home.
Carson, I love your Berkeley story so much. I think I've heard it a couple of times now, and it just makes me smile every single time. I love your parents' response. We already know. Mine was, let's see, a little bit similar, but I actually applied basically only to UCs. So I knew I was going to go to like a big public school. Like that was already in the decision. And at the end for me, it came down to UCLA and Berkeley. And I'm from Los Angeles, and so my parents live in Los Angeles. And both my parents also went to UCLA, and so they were like, "Go to UCLA." They really wanted me to go to UCLA. But when I was here at Berkeley, there is no place that I would rather be on the face of the planet. I think that Berkeley is the best in every way. We are at the forefront of science and innovation, which is what I love. That's what I want to study. We're at the forefront of society and just innovation in communities. And I don't think I would have met and created such a wonderful community here at Cal. I love the school community. And it is such a huge school, but I feel like there is so much community within every student here that goes to Cal, because there's just a very fun and loving and welcoming and learning culture. And it's just my favorite thing on the earth.
Wonderful. Thank you guys both so much. I really appreciate you both sharing your Berkeley stories. I think it's always a very important part of the college process to hear from other students and what exactly brought them here. So thank you again. Now I will bring us to the last section of our tour. This is how you can stay in touch with us if you so desire. You are more than welcome to follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram is at @visitUCBerkeley. You can also email us at tour@berkeley.edu, where a student ambassador will answer your questions. You can also check out the Bear Talk blog. Bear Talk blog is where our ambassadors will post blogs about their daily life, their experiences as a virtual student, all kinds of different things. You also can check out recorded virtual visits, other ambassadors. So those are going to be available on our YouTube channel at Visit UC Berkeley. Our Berkeley's COVID-19 response is also completely visible and transparent at coronavirus.berkeley.edu if you want to see how we've been addressing and adapting to coronavirus. You can also check out our celebration of 150 years of women at 150w.berkeley.edu. The admissions presentations that I mentioned earlier, as they are a different department from us, are actually available at their website at admissions.berkeley.edu/visit for any more specific questions. And then last but not least, we offer ambassador student panels where the entire hour is a Q&A answering your questions and also engineering specific visits. So for either of those, please head to visit.berkeley.edu. And with all that said, thank you so much for coming on this virtual visit with us today. It has been so lovely having you here with us on this beautiful Monday, first day of finals week. And we will send you off with our classic Berkeley greeting, or farewell, if you will, the Go Bears on 3. So 1, 2, 3, Go Bears!
Go Bears!